When I said we're going to be taking a look at the NECA Burning Godzilla, I didn't mean this one. I meant this one. Hello everyone, welcome back to another video. My name is Matthew, and today we're continuing our NECA 2025 remaster videos with the last incarnation of Godzilla himself, I should probably clarify, for the line, for now, the NECA 2019 Burning Godzilla from Godzilla King of the Monsters. This is going to be V3, as he's officially called, and is going to be, again, the last iteration of Godzilla we're going to be taking a look at within the line before we take a look at the other monsters, Mothra and Rodan. I should also clarify that the one that I have is actually the reissue variant of the Burning Godzilla, because before the license expired, they did come out with another version of the Godzilla 2019 sculpts, where the original versions were a bit more hunched. This one, spoilers, is actually a bit more upright and fixes some of the issues with that previous release. So that is why I own this one, and it's the one I could get my hands on, yada yada yada. So just for some clarity. Anyways, this is going to be also another reuse of the NECA 2019 mold, and it's also going to be very unique. Why? Well, let's take a look at it, shall we? Starting off with the sculpt and paint, I should also probably clarify that, again, because this is the same mold, this is going to be the third time we're taking a look at this exact same sculpt for the third time in a row. So I'm going to be a bit more, I guess you could say, niche when it comes to the actual detail. So I'm mainly going to talk about paint, because there is quite a bit of differences with the paint. So starting off with the actual plastic color, as opposed to a dark gray or black, the actual solid color here used is going to be a bit more of like a ruby red, deep orange-ish color. And it's evident by the ball pegs that we're actually going to see when you actually pop a figure off. It's going to be that color. Anywho, so it's going to be entirely in translucent plastic with paint over top of it, and it does vary a bit from as far as like which areas painted which. But for the eyes, we actually have a solid yellow, kind of like glowed out pupil with some more blue. There's no blue on this figure. Yellow highlights around the eye, giving it a very glowy effect with some black wash in between to give it really more like that very crevice and very like crisp detail look. The rest of the face as well, along the crevices, you're going to see a lot more of that the orange kind of seeping through. It's similar to what they did with the NECA 2019 V2, except it's reversed with warm colors. And for the actual like orange used, it is very well done. It has a lot of nice little cracks and crevices within it. It's not in every single crevice, but it's in enough to where you can really kind of get behind it. You can actually see a lot of that detail more towards like the sides of the face, where it's definitely segmented. Get this cat fuzz out of there. There we go. And there's a lot of it to be found here. The teeth are individually sculpted and painted, at least the top row. The bottom row is going to be mainly kind of one singular strip. For the mouth, there's not too much going on with the mouth. The tongue is, I don't think that's really captioned that well on camera, is it? Oh well, I tried to zoom in. I didn't mean to zoom in. So let's try, there we go. So the tongue, it kind of looks like a banana, in all honesty. It's got a very bright paint application with some more kind of dandelion yellow on the jaw, and it looks pretty nice. There's not too much like in the way of detail per se. The NECA 2019 mouth was never like that well detailed, so there is that to kind of point out. So for the rest of the head here, just to kind of get and go over it, nostrils, they are actually a bit painted this go around, which is very nice to see. And top of the head has the crevices with the black kind of like dry brushed over it, and the bottom jaw is again more or less the same thing. Now for the neck, wow, they outdid themselves. Again, in between the gills is going to be where the burning patches are, like inside it. It just looks like it's fuming with energy. And then, of course, you have all the segments with the orange in there as well. And, of course, you have the back spikes, which are going to be the yellow. And it does continue on to the back, but we'll talk about the back in just a moment. The segments on the... so much cat fuzz. I have 3 cats. What do you expect? We have the gills, of course, and the neck, which are going to be continuing that awesome orange and black color mix. Moving to this side, where you do kind of get, again, more of like the transition between the orange and the yellow on the top. And I guess I might as well just talk about the dorsal plates, since obviously they want to be reviewed here. The dorsal plates are pretty much what you'd expect them to be. They have a ton of different warm colors going on. In fact, these dorsal plates in particular actually have like a bit of a mix. So you have some red, some yellow, some orange. And it looks very sporadic. Mine's actually a bit warped, this fin, so that kind of sucks. But as a whole, it's not bad, honestly. I do dig the actual application here. We do have a bit of like a bit of shinage going on here. At first I thought that was white paint, but no. Again, I'm tired of all this cat fuzz. So you do have a bit of like dry brushing when it comes to the spine work, because it's a little lighter, and then you get like more of the ruby and then the orange base paint, and it kind of is mixed out throughout the whole figure, almost like he's like about to charge it up. And of course, for let's actually kind of go to, you can actually kind of just see inside the crevices here. Here they actually continue like that lighter white, but for some reason they don't do that here. Kind of wonder why. And for this side, it's a bit more of the same, just kind of flipped. Still looks pretty well done. Same mold as per usual, very wavy like patterns. For the actual streaks, like the veins, you might say, oh, well, that's just what they did with the V2. Not true. It's actually different application, because there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then this big 5th one on the leg splits down. But the actual like veins themselves, again, it just looks like he's charging up and he's about to release such a big nuclear pulse. Going back to this side, not too much streaks. You have the big one down here, one up here. Actually, there's I think another one down there. And then you have this one and this one. So there's a little less, but that is all right. And of course, for the sides, as well as talking about the shoulders, you do get that orange in the crevices with the black kind of like overwashed over top with the more ruby red kind of poking through. For the actual arms here, you do get, again, more of that very nice detail work. And it just looks, again, very much blended very well together. You can actually kind of see the claws here. Kind of wish they were a bit painted, but that'd probably look weird, but so I digress. You can see the articulated joints are going to be a pink as opposed to the more ruby red. So there's that. For the pecs here, it has a ton of different wash with black and orange together thrown in, all in one big mix of such a big color canvas. So there's that. More pecs and more like the wavy pattern, as well as Godzilla's crotch. Going down here, we have all this intricate little detail at the top of the leg. So you have all the crevices here, black wash, and then the vein running down. The lower leg actually has paint on it this time as opposed to the V2, where I still get like the orange here. So pretty much speaking, orange is all over the body. I mean, if that wasn't already obvious. It's all in the crevices, and then you get to the 4-toed feet. I didn't see this one first. Although you think I'd remember that by now. But you get all that orange in the crevices, super well done, as well as the nails, which are actually painted a little bit. You can kind of see that. It's got a bit of like a shine to it, and it's also got a bit of the orange, which is a very neat addition. And just one more look at the legs back. Underneath, you do get that detail, but there's not too much in the way of paint, so depending on how that could be a little bit of an issue. So for the tail, again, the exact same detail, but for the actual paint, it's similar, but not exactly the same as what they did with V2. because the top of it features the orange and the yellow mixed in together, and it definitely forms a very, very nice like color coat of all these different warm shades of color. I swear I'm such not a fan of all the freaking fuzz. I hate it. And of course the orange is going to be continuing in the crevices and even at the bottom of the tail. So look at that. I will say the transition between like the orange, like orange to the side is a bit on the rougher end, but you do get a lot of it. Also, mine's got a bit of like a orange blip right there. So my guess is that when they were painting this, because NECA figures are painted by hand, believe it or not, like maybe up here, I'm guessing like down here, they just kind of screwed that up and it was kind of an oversight. So it's whatever. So one more look at the figure from the bottom, the side, this side, the front, and of course the top. So for the sculpt and paint, I think that as far as the actual colorization execution of it goes, this is going to be my personal favorite of the three. The reason why it's not my personal favorite of the three is because I'm biased towards blue. But as far as the actual execution goes, I have very little complaints about the V3 Godzilla. It has all the right ingredients to make such a really well done, like actual color coded figure. It has black in the right areas, it has red in the right areas, yellows, oranges, and even like, again, orange. Excuse me. I just drank a Monster energy drink before I started. Just all in the right areas, all the cracks and crevices. Basically, aside from the feet, every single piece of this figure is at least painted to some degree. That said, would I really say it's like 100% perfect? No. There is some parts of the paint which I don't necessarily agree with. For example, the inconsistency is like the inside of it. Like here it's painted, there it's not. The little speckle right there, which I am going to count as like a bit of a QC issue on mine. And I definitely do think the, again, part of like the transitioning mainly here goes, because that is kind of abrupt. There's really not too much of like a gradient going on. There is a gradient, but I feel like they could tighten that up a little bit better. But again, those are just minor nitpicks. I think ultimately I'm going to rate this, the sculpt and paint, a 9 out of 10. And yeah, that's basically going to be my personal consensus. All right, let's get a little heated up because it's time to move. Articulation time. And again, same exact mold. No differences, right? Wrong. For the jaw, opens up about that far, closes up about that far, so you can get that amount of range. Now, let's kind of angle up the camera here. Let's get to the head. You look up and down, to the left and to the right, and can swivel. That's right. We have a NECA 2019 figure with an articulated head. Yes, the other two had ball joints at the head, but not like this. Next thing, the neck. A rotation. And you actually go up and down. And using the two, you can go to his right, his left, up and down. Do be careful of scuffs, by the way. And this is because the translucent plastic actually does kind of like take into effect because it is more soft and you can get a bit more like play out of it. So let's kind of continue this with the shoulders. Shoulders, you can go out in a full 360 degrees. For the elbow, we can go out, go in, go twist. For the wrist, we can go down and go up and go a full 360 degrees. The waist, you can actually bend pretty far forward, and you can rear up, and you can get a pretty good rotation. I bet you can do a 360 if you wanted to. Let's kind of move the arms up a bit for this one. The legs, which we can go a full 360 degrees, which is always nice to see. And the knee, we can go straight, we can go forward, and we can swivel. The feet, we can bend down, bend up, and go side to side. And finally, from here to roughly here, there's 10 segments, and we can get a crap ton of range. Like, look at how far this guy's tail curls in. Really kind of like, you do definitely have to like kind of work the joints, but once you actually work it, you can get some pretty decent poses. So you can go up, you can go down and kind of like bend in a little bit. So there is that kind of to point out. And like I made mention before, you can also go to the left and dig in there a little bit to the right. Now, just for like a brief comparison, look at that. Look at this curve. Okay. Now, let's bring in the original. That is the comparison unlike any other. So it's kind of clear because of the translucent plastic, you do get more of like range for this thing. So for the articulation, again, because it's made of a softer plastic, you can get more range out of it, which boosts this guy's articulation above the other two. And, you know, I don't really have anything to complain about as far as the articulation either. Maybe I would have added maybe some way to make him look up, like straight up, not like just this up, like he's trying to look for the last cookie in the cupboard up, but like, again, straight up. But again, that's like something that I could have like customized myself. I'm not customizing this, by the way. But as far as the flexibility being put up, I'm going to give this thing a 9 out of 10 when it comes to the articulation. It's practically near perfect. Next up is accessories, and unfortunately, this is kind of where the figure definitely kind of misses the mark, because this guy doesn't come with anything, unfortunately. Yeah, there was like a lot of things NECA could have included. Maybe like a flame effect, like a red heat ray or something. Maybe like a decapitated Ghidorah head so you can like put it into his mouth. Or just something to like give this guy an extra boost when it comes to being the burning G as we know him. But alas, he doesn't come with anything. But what's funny to know is that, again, he actually does have one feature. Does he glow in the dark? No. Again, kind of a missed opportunity because, you know, Burning Godzilla does exactly that, glow. But instead, he is made of a translucent plastic. So, dimming the lights, I'm not going to turn off the lights completely. I'm going to use my other phone. And let's actually show you this guy actually translucent. Look at that. Let's actually kind of like flip this. So yeah, as it would turn out, the figure itself is translucent. I don't think the fins are they? No, I think they're opaque. Maybe. Yeah, I think they might be. And just to really kind of draw on the point, you can actually kind of see the joints in there because they are made of a more opaque plastic. But yeah, that is basically the translucency. Let's actually get the 90s Burning Godzilla in here so we can actually have a bit of fun with this. Translucent buddies, go! So they glow pretty much similar colors of the red and orange. So let's get you out of here. You already had your review like last month. So for Burning Godzilla, I definitely think that this guy could have come with something. Like, it's kind of funny that the bootleg version of this guy actually does come with a beam, depending on which listing you buy it from, because some others don't. Although what is actually, again, pretty funny is that in my personal experience, and this is 100% true, you can actually use the blue beam from the V2 Godzilla and put it in this guy's mouth. And it actually holds a bit better. I'm probably going to jinx it, but I don't want to like jam it in there, but there you go. You can use it. Anyways, for size comparisons, and you can kind of see what I was talking about when this guy was like the reissue, he'd hunch up a little bit more. Here he is with the other two, V1 and V2, NECA Godzillas from 2019. And yeah, just to kind of like showcase what I was talking about with the streaks and the veins, they're very different from each other. This vein isn't like this vein, and these three veins are not like these 5, 6 something veins. And let's actually flip it to this side as well. Long tails. There you go. I think you get the point. And here he is with some Playmates figures with the Ultimate Titan King Ghidorah from 2019, which this is obviously in scale, as it not, and the Supercharged Godzilla Evolved, which, let's get rid of Ghidorah for just a moment. Does this pairing not go hard or what? This looks awesome. And finally, here he is with some other NECA Godzilla figures with the NECA 2014 Godzilla. And the next review, the Mothra 2019 V2, which if you're wondering why I'm skipping over V1, it's because my V1 is broken and I don't think it's fair for me to take a look at a damaged one. Want to actually take one look at one that's actually somewhat a bit higher quality. So I'm probably going to track down either a legit one or just a really damn good looking bootleg, because the bootleg NECA Mothras are surprisingly close to the original. And for my final thoughts, this guy is amazing. I'm definitely gonna just say that as far as like, if you were to pick out between the 3 versions of the 2019 Godzilla NECA's put out, this is actually gonna be the one to get as far as like the best quality of Godzilla. Because V1, it was cool as far as like being a standard release within the line. V2 had the accessories, but had a bit more problems compared to the V3. V3, I relatively don't have many problems with. It's definitely the one that like I return to the most as far as like how much I personally enjoy it. And although V2 is admittedly my favorite as far as like a visual aesthetic, and is my favorite in general, I kind of find myself returning to the V3 a bit more, specifically because of like how well of a figure it's done. Because if the V2 was like how this one was, with all like the cracks and crevices like really put in, almost looking like Energized from Godzilla from GXK, maybe because like that was a few years later, that probably would have been my favorite. But as far as right now, this one is my favorite. Well, obviously that one's still my favorite, but as far as quality wise, this one's the best one. There's the difference between the best and the favorite, and this one is the best. So with that said, the articulation is pretty damn sweet, especially because of the soft plastic. Lack of accessories, a bit disappointing, but I can get behind it. And the sculpting paint is near flawless. So overall, I'm going to give this thing a 9 out of 10. So with that said, if you want to look this up, the last place that I know of that actually sold this, costumes.com, I think, unfortunately has this guy sold out. So you're at the mercy of the aftermarket now, ladies and gentlemen. So if you want to get this guy, you have to go on eBay. Resale value is about $40 to $60, depending like if they're boxed or something. So definitely be on the lookout. Also, do not buy any bootlegs. As I say, as I buy like 2 more. Anyway, that said, thank you guys for watching. If you guys enjoyed it, leave a like and subscribe to the channel. And I'll see you guys in the next video for the second last of the NECA Godzilla series on the channel for the 2025 remasters. For now, peace out, everyone. When I said NECA Burning Godzilla, I didn't mean this one. I meant this. What the?